Kings, queens, and in-betweens, welcome back to the City Boys podcast, where this week we are reviewing St. Louis City's Sunday night soccer matchup against the Columbus Crew. My name is Ethan Thornton, and I am joined by two of my best friends in soccer, and we got 3 points for you this week, unlike St. Louis City, unfortunately. We're going to go through the kick clash. We're going to recap the match, and last but not least, we're going to leave you with a good preview of a very scary opponent in the Vancouver Whitecaps. But first, Jacob, how are you doing, boss man?
I'm doing pretty good. It is late Tuesday night that we're doing this because we had a very busy weekend. Celebrated my birthday this weekend and then
Oh
followed
yeah.
that celebration up with going to the game on Sunday. So we're getting this recording out a little bit late, but bear with us because scheduling and life and yada yada. Grayson, my friend, my brother, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I am exhausted as well after a hell of a weekend. Honestly, one of the most fun times I've had at a loss. Like we lost and I had more fun than like some of the craziest city games I've been to. Like just great vibes with the lads. It's good to have all three of us there. It was beautiful. A beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's a moment that I'm going to remember forever. I cannot deny it, gentlemen. That was incredible. And yeah, Jacob, it is a little late. We're going to City Boys After Dark for this episode. Pretty rude of us to have jobs, honestly. I
Yeah,
don't know why
why?
we can't just podcast full time just yet. Not yet.
If you guys subscribe, you
Yeah,
know.
that's a good segue into hitting the subscribe button. It's free. It's an awesome way to support the podcast. Leave a review if you're feeling especially saucy. But let's get into this Columbus Crew game, gentlemen. We waited all weekend for it. We finally got to go see it in person. Jacob, it was your first time at now Energizer Park. What did you make of it, man?
I'm gonna use this opportunity to just basically state my point. Yeah, first time in City Park for me. I know it's called Energizer Park, but it's my first time, so I'm calling it City Park. It was a dream come true for a young Jacob, a young lad playing in the city back in the day. Walking, doing the parade, and then going into the stadium and actually getting to see the field in person for the first time was incredible. Getting into the supporter section and really experiencing a game in the only way that I ever want to experience a game from now on is absolutely phenomenal. I've had times in the past where I've gone to other supporter sections before St. Louis had a team and it was fun, but this was unreal and unlike anything I've ever been a part of. And I feel so happy to have actually like physically be a part of it now. My only takeaway, my only drawback from the experience is two beers costs $30. That
Yeah.
is insane. I don't know who I need to talk to about getting those prices reduced, but with the quality that's on the field right now, we should not be paying $30 for two beers. Um, yeah, in the words of Dewan Jones, it was a 10 out of 10 experience and environment. And so grateful to be able to go. So glad I was able to experience it with you guys. Shout out to Tom Franklin for being an
Huge.
amazing ambassador for the club, the team, for soccer as a whole in the United States. He made sure to show me a really good time for my first time out there. So big shout outs to him. And I cannot wait to go back. I might be there this weekend. We will see.
Yeah, I have to agree with the sentiment. Like that was my first time. I've been to so many games, but that was my first time sitting in the supporters section. Um, and like that was insane. I always thought like I was like, I don't want to sit behind the flags, man. I want to sit behind the flags now. Like the flags are not an issue. Like if that's stopping you from getting tickets in the supporters section, don't let that stop you. It is not an issue. Like seeing the game from right behind the goal, it beats if a flag is in front of your face for 5 seconds. Get over it. Like the just insanity that we saw during that match, like from so close, is insane. And we got We got spotted on the Jumbotron. We got, if you watch back the highlights, you can spot us right behind the score. We're
That's my
right
point.
there.
That's my point.
So like great vibes, great spot, great view of the game, just unbeatable. Sadly, St. Louis was beatable. Uh,
Yeah, most importantly, great company. Like that was so good, man. I've dreamed of going to an MLS, a professional, a top flight professional MLS soccer game in the United States with you guys for going on close to, if not 10 plus years now. So to finally experience that was extremely cathartic.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I've been to a number of games in St. Louis. Like we got to see US women's play in St. Louis in the past. And that's like those experiences, like the City Chelsea game way back when, those are it's like own vibe, right? But then when
Mm-hmm.
you actually get to experience it like your city's team playing and competing and honestly like not having a terrible game, which we're gonna get into, it beats any other sporting event I've ever been to, ever in my life. Like I got to watch the All Blacks play Ireland in Chicago, and that was a dope rugby game. Don't get me wrong. However, I will take a city loss at home in
Wild.
person over any other sporting event I've been to.
Well, speaking of that city loss at home, Jacob, why don't we finally just rip the band-aid, get into it? Who's
Yeah.
bringing us through our lineups today? Grayson?
Yeah, that'll be me. Go ahead and run through this one. We did continue with the three at the back, although we were begging for something different. And we did get a different kind of performance from this pretty similar lineup that we're used to. So, can't complain that much, I guess. But here we go. Ben Lunt in goal. I said before the match, Ben Lunt masterclass. This rating, 6.0 rating, I think is unfair. He did have a good game. He came up massive in a couple big moments. This game could have been way worse than 2-1. So Ben Lunt, I think, deserves a better rating here. Whatever. Back three, we got a start for Timo Baumgartel and a great game from him. Really competitive, willing to push up the pitch. I know a lot of people were mentioning that and his offensive ability. We saw him play striker last week. So, he's willing to get up the pitch, and I think that helped us out a lot. Henry Kessler, of course, in the middle of the park, unchanged. Josh Yarrow putting in a pretty short-lived shift. We'll get into that in a little bit here. Um, Kyle Hebert on the left of the midfield four. We've got Hartel in the middle. Alfredo Morales again starting, and Conrad Vollum on the right. We had two tens this week with Celia Pompeu getting a start, well-deserved start, and Cedric Toyshirt playing on the right, and of course the man of the moment, Joao Klauss himself, starting up top. We did have a myriad of subs. We had Akil Watts coming in. So, like I just mentioned, Josh Yarrow. So, we were on the other side of the pitch when that happened. So, when Josh Yarrow got knocked out, we didn't see
Oh,
that at all. I didn't know what, severity of injury. I assumed it was a leg injury because we're playing football. But watching back that clip, I did see a clip of it from like way close up, and it was scary.
yeah, it did
Like
not look good.
Yarrow just goes in for a routine clearance header, and it just hit him wrong. He just went down cold after that, laid there for a second, bided his time. Granted, he did pop up pretty fast and wanted to continue playing. And that's a big conversation to have about the St. Louis City medical staff here because he would return to play and then get pulled a couple of minutes later. Just a really strange situation overall. So I don't know if you guys had any thoughts on that situation.
I think it's not a great look for the medical staff. I think a head injury to that severity, I think he should probably be subbed at that point, especially if like they end up pulling him off minutes later after he comes back onto the field. It should probably be a sub then.
Right.
And this brings up kind of like a quiet topic that hasn't really been talked about that much of the, I don't want to say competency, but like the real effectiveness of our medical and training staff. Like we've had so many injuries over the last 2 years. This is a clear miss. Like I hope it's not a concussion, but like if a player gets knocked out on the field, he should probably be
Yeah.
subbed right then and
Yeah.
there.
And it
Uh,
was weird to see because I know Josh Yarrow did look extremely frustrated when he did get pulled off. So I don't know if maybe that was an issue. Like maybe Yarrow was like, I'm fine, let me play. But you got to be able to stand up to your players. Like, of course, they're making a shit ton of money. You work, with these guys every day. You know them really well. But as a medical staff, you got to put your foot down when these players' lives are literally in danger sometimes. Like this is a contact sport here, so we got to protect our players, and
Yeah,
that
the
yeah.
the quote that I saw was to protect the athlete from themselves.
yeah.
And I know a crazy guy that tore his ACL and then played a few games before his surgery. And I know the immense pain that put himself through. And I would hate to see anyone experience anything like that again. I'm talking about Jacob, the ridiculous man sitting on this podcast with me. And it's true, you do have to protect the athletes from themselves. Any athlete will tell you that they are good to go if their hand is hanging on by a thread. It's the mindset that they have, and that's why they're at the level they're at. And I don't blame them. It is just yeah, you got to protect the athletes from themselves. I hope Josh Aro is okay.
Yeah, same.
To
I
be
have no
fair,
doubt
I
he will
was
be
gonna
fine.
have surgery anyways, so
Might as well just rip it.
they're gonna be in there regardless. So if anything else happens, they can fix it. I don't recommend it to anybody else that's out there, but I do know that I'm cut from a different cloth,
Yeah,
even if
just
that cloth
insane.
is psychotic.
Moving back into the subs, we did have three more. We had Simon Betcher coming on for Cedric Toyshirt. We had Ostrich coming in for Hartle. And then we got to see Mikhail Joyner come in at the left wingback position. I think he came in for Kyle Hebert, if I'm not mistaken. It was very late in the game, or I think he came on for Conrad Vollum, actually, I don't know. I might be lost here. Either way, Joyner came in, looked really positive, even from a left wing back position, which he is not used to. He looked great. Took on his man a couple times, looked really confident. So I was really happy about that. But
Also,
that will be
Tom
the
pointed
lineup.
out that Mackay was like standing on the sidelines for like 10 minutes waiting to come in. I know we had picked him out as like, oh, we think he's coming in. And then it took, 10, 15 minutes for him to
Mhm.
actually make a debut. But I did like what I saw from him, even out of position. It's kind of a miss to put him and Celio on the same side. Like, there's
Yeah.
not enough space higher up. Like, we know Mackay Joyner's gonna go bombing forward, especially we're down a goal at that point. But there's not enough space up in that left corner for the two of them to operate together. So that's kind of a miss. My most disappointing performance out of everybody that was on the field, though, was Alfredo Morales. I'm kind of tired of the experiment. He's not a fit and a match for this lineup right now. I know he's in there for Edu, but give me literally any of our other center mids to operate there at this point that have a good motor and can go box to box for 90 minutes.
Would you take Miguel Perez there?
Yeah, I know what I'm going to get from Miguel Perez. It's going to be ugly, but
Mm.
it's going to be passionate.
It's going to be passionate. There is no doubt in my mind about that. And yeah, I agree with you, Jacob. I don't think specifically one aspect of our central midfield has not been good enough this season, but I'm going to leave y'all in suspense a little bit for until my point. Speaking of our points, before we get into it, let's wrap up this game, shall we? All right,
Indeed.
gentlemen, I'm kicking us off with the first 30 minutes. So I'm going to get us started in the 6th minute when Ben Lunt would make a huge save on Diego Rossi. In my opinion, Ben Lunt has been flat out admirable since Roman Berkey has been injured. We've seen him stand tall on many occasions, and this match against Columbus was no different. I'm not sure if this next sequence was right off the back of that save. Well, it was okay. I thought so. They broke it up in the highlights because yeah, in the 7th minute, pretty much directly after Ben Lund gets done keeping Columbus from our goal, Celio would get the ball, pick it up on the counter, gets all the way to the corner of the 18, and now he holds it up. He's waiting for his team to arrive. He even gestures, he shows the defender where he's going to go, and then he takes him right there. He points to the end line and drives right there. He connects his cross with Joao Klauss, who would smash the crossbar. The South End was pretty much celebrating by this point,
We're
but the
like
ball is
frozen.
sailing in slow motion. We all have our hands on our heads, and who do we see but Joao Klaus rise up once again and put the ball in the back of the net for the first time in 11 months? What a feeling.
I'm only mad that he had to assist himself and get the assist away from Celio. But I do need to mention the defender that Celio burnt for this is reigning MLS Defender of the Year. So
Well, look, we don't need to talk about, oh, I forget his name,
Steven Moreira.
Steven Moreira. We don't have to talk about him getting his lick back for
Yeah.
A little bit.
but I will say that Celio did put him on skates. He looked fantastic, and the vibes after seeing Joao Klaus at the back of the net were electric in City Park. Frankly, I think I felt tears come to my eyes. Jumping around and hugging, the beer showers were awesome. High-fiving people I've never met in my life. Joao Klaus can do special things to the club. I understand why people were getting so antsy.
This is the order of operations for me. Ball goes in back of net. I turn, see Ethan's face making the exact same face I'm making. Then peering behind Ethan because Ethan is taller than both Grayson and I is Grayson's face making the exact same face that we're making. And then as a group, we're all jumping up and down in the supporter section, cheering as if we had just won the World Cup. And then 35 people touched my hand and shared let's fucking go breaths together.
Yeah. That stadium is rocking. Like when you're in the supporter section, like you felt like you went to the game with everybody. Like everyone's chatting, giving their takes, high-fiving each other, giving each other hugs when we score. Like just immaculate. It's one big family.
Absolute pandemonium. No kidding. I live here in Louisville, and it's today Tuesday, April 16th, and I heard people talking about the atmosphere in St. Louis on the Club 11 bus. I cannot make this up. So,
Hey, hey.
anyways, massive club, massive club. I'm gonna finish my recap off with one more moment in the first 30 minutes when Cedric Toysher would actually squander a chance in the 13th minute after a Columbus Crew giveaway. Genuinely, I believe that once he carried the ball into the box, like he took those touches into the box, I was already celebrating. We were up 2-0 at that point, and I was very surprised to see the ball sky over the net. I think that potentially he was off balance. I saw him fall pretty much as soon as the ball left his foot, but there might be a lack of confidence bug in the striker room at St. Louis City at the moment.
Yeah. Toy Shirt is such a quality player. Last season, he buries that 5 times out of 5. It's just a rough,
My
rough spot.
immediate analyst in me, like I turned to Ethan and told him this, is he took one too many touches. That second setup touch that he took put closed the angle enough for him to where he had to hit it as hard as he could. If
Yep.
he would have just hit it one touch prior, there's so much more goal, and it was in a nice like bouncing height that he could have side footed it and placed it into a corner instead of having to try to beat Patrick Schulte, which is one of the best goalies in the MLS, with
Mm-hmm.
power.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yep. And I think that's kind of why I feel like he's lacking in confidence is because he's maybe overthinking it in that situation, overthinking what to do. And so he just takes that extra touch, in the run of play. It's milliseconds, and it's literally Adams firing in his brain, telling him to do these things. So I'm not going to be too harsh. Obviously, I'm not capable, but I think that's Dr. Ethan's diagnosis of the St. Louis City Strikers.
Yeah, it's just a little bit too much time to think.
Great, take us through the next 30.
Cool. 32nd minute, we get another big chance for Joao Klauss off of a Conrad Vollum cross the box. Perfect connection on the header, and it just goes wide, barely. Patrick Schulte stuck. He did not move for this one. So close, so close. But Columbus would grow into the match. Their unrelenting pressure and their quality would eventually break through that. I mean, they're a very, very good side. If we haven't mentioned it, undefeated team, very highly rated in the MLS this season. And it would be Defender of the Year, Steven Moreira, getting one over on Celio Pompeu this time. In Celio's defense, he is not Defender of the Year. But he would get caught ball watching and a volley from a cross, wide open, point blank range. It was a good finish.
It
It
was
really
class, to be
was.
fair. Like, yeah, I gave Celio a hard time, but he had plenty to do on the finish as well.
Yeah, just disappointing. Yeah, it's a hard one to watch. Moving on, it would be in the 54th minute, so pretty back to back here, right after halftime. Um, it would be new signing Daniel Gazdag, who starts this play, links up in the midfield, and the ball would find its way to Diego Rossi, who's a hell of a player. And we just gave him way too much time, no pressure on the ball. Let him wind up and pick a spot. He picks the bottom corner from outside the box. As much as Timo Baumgartel did have a great game, just didn't step to his man in time.
Mm.
Disappointing. So that would make it 2-1. And I believe that would be all from me.
Yeah, this final 30 is where we get a lot of really close calls throughout the rest of the match. In the 66th minute, Hartel has a free kick that's basically at the
Oh.
corner flag. And the runs of the attackers in the box almost fool Schulte, thinking that it's going to be a near post cross. You see him start to cheat that way, and Hartel has different thoughts. He's taking this far post. And Schulte, being as class as he is able to set his feet, get back into spot, and able to jump up and parry the ball over for a corner kick. This corner is the most controversial call of the match, and I do want your guys' opinions on it. But Timo is able to get on the end of the corner and flicks it towards Joao Klauss, who is in a very, very tight line. And Klaus is able to bury it and finish it. South end, we think we just tied the match 2-2. We're going nuts. Immediately, corner or the AR's flag goes up for offsides. And we're looking at the replay on the Jumbotron, and it's so hard to tell. Um,
Indiscernible from our angle.
my the way I'm looking at it is it would be a tough call to overturn if they had called it a goal on the field. So it is then in turn a tough call to overturn because they called it offsides. Grayson, did you see offsides here or did you see good goal?
No, that's a good goal every time. I'm honestly pissed off at a professional referee that knows that you keep your flag down in that situation. They can fix it. You can't fix it if you put your flag up. Bro,
Yeah, that's the frustrating part is that if it is offside, they will be able to pull it back. We'll never know if it'll be a goal though. It will never stand as a goal because the call on the field is offside. Really, really frustrating.
I
And
think,
I
yeah,
it was also, in my opinion, clear enough. or close enough that it deserved a review. To not even review that play is it feels despicable.
Yeah, like even if they claimed it's not enough evidence to send the main ref to review it, like that is mind-boggling to me. Like if it's that close enough of a call, do you think the center ref should maybe take a look at it?
Yeah,
Like
at least get on
what?
conversation with the VAR.
Jacob, I thought you said it best. At least 22,500 people thought it deserved a review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Taylor Twellman, who often has, yeah, often I feel like sides with the referee when it comes to against St. Louis City. He also agrees that that is onsides. Clearly, you can look at the photos yourself. Columbus fans agree. Um,
The angle of the like review is ass. I don't
Yeah,
know why
yeah,
there's
not good
not
at all.
a camera directly parallel with the goal line, basically, so that we've
Yep.
got a better look at it. But not to harp on it too much because I'm about to harp on Simon Betcher a lot here. In the 72nd minute, Betcher picks off a pass in Columbus's box from a Columbus goal kick, and he rushes the finish and just absolutely misses the net. Betcher also, with the lack of confidence in the striker room, he has got to be better in this situation. He has enough time to take a touch and then bury it. He also has enough time to pick his head up, find a layoff to Klaus, who's right there, or a backward, like kind of layoff to the oncoming Marcel Hartel, who's just a free man in the box at this point, who also can bury it. Cedric Toyshirt was behind him as well. If he takes that touch and gets closed down, they're not going to foul him in the box because penalty. He's got the time to pick his head up and find teammates. So I really needed you there, Betcher. I really did.
it's literally opposite ends of the spectrum. Thinking too slow, too much time, and no time at all thinking way too fast.
Yeah. Then in the 86th minute, Celio chips in across to Klaus, who does head it on net. Schulte's able to parry it. Betcher tries to clip it back to Klaus, and the defender's able to clear it. And again, this is a moment I think Simon rushes. Granted, when his head is picked up, Klaus is open for the cross, but defenders are coming back. I think a polished Simon Betcher doesn't rush this, turns, lays it off to the penalty spot to another free oncoming runner, that then this ball gets buried. Then, and final real moment of this match before the whistle gets blown, in the 88th minute, Simon gets an over the top through ball. And again, he just doesn't have the composure to get a full strike on the ball. He kind of whiffs at it. It goes right into Schulte's arms. And that's the real last highlight of the match. There was a pretty big injury in the 92nd minute, which would take this game to 90 plus 6 minutes, and the final whistle would blow.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, we were talking about it when we were wandering around the stadium. We were extremely bummed about this loss. Um, but there was something different about this loss, and I genuinely think it's because we faced such a good team and created good chances. Like we we still didn't carry as much possession as we want. I think we ended with like under 40%, probably around 36. But we created a lot of good chances, and that's the game plan that we've been planning on having this entire season. So
Well, yeah.
if this is an example that Olaf is getting things to work the way he wants them to, then I feel somewhat positive around this match because I wasn't really expecting a result against Columbus anyways. And yeah,
Well, it's no secret that the fans and even us have been very unhappy with the attacks production this season, right? So far, especially in this run of the last four games where we hadn't scored a goal. All right. So now we take the best team in the East, undefeated still this season, and let's send out an attack. And it looked like they almost played free, Grayson, like they had that feeling of, all right, we know this is the best team in the East. We're counted out. And it reminded me of that underdog mentality from year number one, where this was a St. Louis side that played with a chip on their shoulder, aggressive and passionately. I think that had been lacking from games previously. And with our next opponent in Vancouver, I hope they keep it up, especially at home.
And like you just said, like this match reminded me a lot of St. Louis City's offense from last season because last season we saw it so many times. We come out and score right away. Like we come out hot and we take it to you and we catch teams off guard. And I think that we saw that a lot in this Columbus game. And we did also see the same issues that we saw last season where we come out early, we score early, but then the other team grows into the game and we don't take our chances to make it 2-0, 3-0, and we let the other team grow into it. So some positives, some negatives, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think the reason, sorry, Jacob.
Go ahead.
I think the reason this feels positive is because Columbus is the number one team in the East, undefeated still this season, even after playing us. And yeah, we have a strong showing. All right, I know that Columbus also had a disallowed goal, but had Klaus's goal remained, it would have been a 2-1 goal game for us. And I like to think that in a game where Simon Betcher sees Joao Klauss at the back of the net twice, he's feeling confident enough to take that chance inside the opponent's penalty box. That is insane that he missed that chance. I can't believe that. So, um, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about the game without getting into my point.
Yeah, my last, like, the last things I want to say about the game as a whole was we looked really good right up until the Yarrow injury. The Yarrow injury forced us to move Conrad Vallum deeper. And with Edu being out and Alfredo Morales' lack of being a good center mid because he's old, we don't look good when Conrad Vallum is back. So hopefully Yarrow's good for the next game and we can come out in a similar lineup and formation. But if not, I really think it needs to be looked at to have somebody else cover the duties of a defensive Conrad Vallum and keep Conrad Vallum forward.
Mm.
Because we lost our fire and our flair when Yarrow comes out. And a lot of that came from Vallum. I thought Celio had a wonderful game. He did kind of fall off there in like the middle bits, but he was our most dynamic player going forward and looked the most
Easily.
confident, and he has every time. So that's great. Um, but yeah, this one's not a tough one to swallow for me. The the quality of our attacking chances was there for me. It is the problem of us not scoring goals. Thank God Klaus has a goal under his belt. I don't think Klaus is going to be able to be stopped from here on out the rest of the season. He almost had a hat trick in one match. That is how much his lack of goal scoring has ate at him. That in one match against the best team in the East, he almost came out here and got a hat trick.
That it's time.
So I would like to get into your guys' points because it's late.
Well, I'll go ahead and start off because you kind of led me right into mine. Because my point is pretty quick and easy this week and somewhat positive. So why not? Let's get into it. My point for this week is that Klaus's return. I mean, come on. The lad has deserved to score so many times this season, but has struggled to get it past the keeper. Joao Klauss failed to score since finding the net in May of 2024. That's a stat that was brought up so many times. And I just felt bad for Klaus, just like, yo, guys, we get it. Um, but he scored a brace last time he scored. Um, and I will say, for not scoring for almost a full year, so many City fans have had his back, and I am one of those people. And that's because his value and his unique qualities that he brings to the game, even when he's not scoring, is so important, so helpful to St. Louis City and how we operate. And he is St. Louis City's target man. I thought Toy Shirt might be able to fill that role, but it's clear that that's not his style. And Klaus made it very clear in this game that he is that target man. Specifically, this match, he won 5 of his 7 aerial duels. He had 3 big-headed chances that made Schulte shit his pants. Um, and he won 10 duels in total. He had 5 on the ground, 5 in the air. Just an absolute menace. He is a big man, but he's mobile. Like he can sprint, he can move pretty fast once he gets running. Um, and as much as I want to say Klaus is back, we know that his issue has always been consistency. So can we celebrate that Klaus has scored and almost scored 3 or 4 goals this match? Yes, please celebrate this and give Klaus his flowers. He deserves it. And in my opinion, the best way for a striker to score is to have the city behind him. Like he's scoring now. We need to back this man. He needs to start next week. And fans need to remember that Joao Klauss is St. Louis City's man. He can be. He can be the guy. So I'm not saying St. Louis City's offense is out. It's not. We're not out of the water yet. We still have a lot to do and a lot to grow. But if Klaus is scoring again, that makes our jobs so much easier.
We've given Edu a lot of credit for being the heart of the team, but when a player like Joao Klauss is firing on all cylinders, and I'm thinking of moments like his goal, his assist against Sporting Kansas City, where he absolutely bodies Ndembe off the ball, or Willie Gata and lays it off to Celio. It's like he creates that goal from scratch, like out of thin air, like maybe like one creature of mystic proportions that brings all the little kids presents, crazy way to describe Santa, but I think that Klaus has a lot of that quality about him as well. He's clearly a leader on the field, and it's great to see him hit in the back of the net, Grayson. I agree.
I think a nice way to describe Klaus in addition to Edu being the heart of the team is Klaus embodies the city. Like when Klaus is playing his best ball, he's a player that can really resonate with like the mindset of the kids that grow up here in St. Louis, and it feels really good to see that guy having a good game.
Absolutely. That's really well said, Jacob. The physical nature along with the flair and the intensity and passion. He's never letting anyone off easy.
He's a fucking dog.
Dude, and yes, Klaus is a big man. When you see that man put on some skill moves, because he's got it in the bag. I remember season 1, like the first game, I remember um, Klaus's first goal. He put somebody in a spinner, man. I don't remember who it was, but he had 1v1 with a defender. He just blew past him and then buried it. It was crazy. Oh yeah, it was that outside of the boot little curler to the far
Yeah,
post.
yeah,
Y'all
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that? That
Mm,
was so nice. I want that Klaus back. And I think he could be back. We'll see.
I remember those times so fondly. Anyways, I'm going to get into my point now, gentlemen, and I'm also going to showcase a little bit of the duality of man here because while our man Grayson has provided you guys with some excellent statistics to back up his argument, for me, it's all going to be vibes and the eye test. All right. So for me, my point this week is going to be that our central midfield's defending has simply not been good enough so far this season. And I know you guys are going to be like, well, tell me when. Tell me when a time is. But I'm actually going to challenge you to find those times, and it won't be too hard. Go look at the last few goals that teams have scored against us and tell me where the center midfielders are in those goals. I'm going to tell you now, it's not close to the ball. They are not really tracking back. As a matter of fact, you might even find that one of them is responsible for those goals. Seeing Alfredo Morales get run by and him just jog after Diego Rossi is completely unacceptable. And I think that's what I was seeing when I was not seeing the tracking back. And I think we all know that Marcel Hartel is not deployed in his most successful role when he's far back trying to pick up the ball in our defensive third. We have center backs capable of distributing the ball, and that's what they should be doing. When I just want to see them tracking back. Okay, that's all. I want to see them hard sprinting backwards. I don't think it's that much of an ask. If I'm wrong, someone tell me I'm wrong. But I think if you go back and watch all the goals that St. Louis City have conceded in this 5 game stretch where we have not won a game, you're gonna see some nasty work. And look, I'm not the most experienced center midfielder in the world. I found success a little further back in the park, but I know for a fact that this trio on your screen or in your ears used to run the midfield in a 4-3-3 pretty well. And it can be pretty fluid. You work back, you
Goals.
support your other mans, and it's not that hard. It's not that difficult of a concept. And I'm sure that these higher quality midfielders than we ever were, respectfully, boys, can figure it out. So that's my point
Also,
for this week.
there is some fun to be had as a midfielder that is just a no nonsense 2 foot tackling midfielder, and we haven't had one of those on the field, basically since like Durkin's last start,
Mhm.
honestly. And it is clear and obvious that we need more defensive minded player in the 3-4-3, 5-3-2. Someone has to be responsible for breaking up a counterattack, and the guy is not Alfredo Morales.
And we do have another player who can play CDM, and that would be Akil Watts. And I love Akil Watts, but I just personally don't think he's aggressive enough as a defender or as a midfielder. I think he's really showed off his distribution a lot. His positioning is pretty good, but I don't really see that like tenacity that Chris Durkin has and that I want from my CDM.
Yeah, look, I'm not trying to talk bad about Akil Watts, but I think that there are opportunities for better one-on-one defending in the center of the park, and I think that Chris Durkin does have that quality. I would like to see, like you said earlier, Jacob, maybe Miguel Perez try and display his defensive abilities because I think you're right. We pretty much have the attacking midfield locked up. All right, I think that Marcel Hartel is one of the best in the league. Let him up there to go do his thing. Edu Levin, also one of the best in the league. We just need a defensive balance that is adequate. And right now, with Chris Durkin out, it does not exist.
At all.
There is just none. And I am if I see the center mids jockeying back while we get scored on one more time, I might pull my hair out.
My main issue with Akil Watts as a center defensive mid, and it is really highlighted when he plays outside back, is if he receives the ball with his back up the field, he cannot turn on the ball.
And that's super important when we try to progress through the midfield.
Yeah,
And right now we're trying to progress through the wings, and we can't even do that because he's also playing on the wing now. So we need Thomas Totland so bad. I miss
yeah.
you, man. I miss you.
Before we get, I've been wanting to pose this for the last couple games, but before we get into the kick clash, um, with the performances of Ben Lunt and the potential exit of Roman Berkey at the end of the year, do we feel confident in Ben Lunt going forward as potentially our starting goalkeeper next year?
If you asked me this last season, I'd say hell no. But Ben Lunt has honestly, I love the dude. He's really shown up. He's a big shot stopper. His distribution is not there. I think he's gotten better at it. I think I think he's good at passing. I don't think he's confident. And we're trying to build out of the back a lot. We're getting high pressed, and so we do end up kicking it long a lot. And I think right now that sucks because St. Louis City loses possession a lot that way. but as a pure out and out shot stopper, I think he's really, really good.
I agree, Grayson. What I'm over here contemplating is what do what does St. Louis City need from its goalkeeper, right? Does it need someone who's really excellent with their feet? Does it need someone who can throw the ball 60 yards like a prime Matt Stafford or Andrew Luck? I don't know. I think it is the shot stopping ability that makes Roman Berkey so great. Of course, his passing and ability to hit a player on the opposite wing from 60 yards is incredible. I think that other top leagues or other top keepers in the league also don't have distribution. Like I don't hear people talking about Chris Kalinia's distribution, and he won the goalkeeper of the year last year. I think they were talking about his shot stopping. All right, Brad Stuver has made his way into those conversations based on his shot stopping, and I do think that Roman Berkey's distribution puts him into the conversation of elite keepers, paired with his shot stopping, of course. But if the reins were to be passed to Ben Lunt next season, I don't think I would be too upset about it. I think he does have room to grow, and I don't think he's the best keeper in the league yet. But a few years' time, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think he's hit his prime as a goalkeeper yet.
What solidifies it for me is, let's say we get one more season out of Roman Burke. He signs a 1-year contract extension. How heartbroken I would be to see Ben Lunt get picked up by some other team in the offseason.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's a
it would
really
hurt.
good point, Jacob. It would hurt just about as bad as seeing Indy in the Philadelphia jersey.
And it's not because like the hurt for Indy versus Lunt, like Indy was such a staple of like city vibes for the time he was here, as opposed to Ben Lunt. Like I can see his ceiling, and his ceiling looks really, really promising. And for another team to cash in and get a really good keeper from us, and we only get one more stellar year out of Roman Berkey, and then we're stuck with, I mean, stuck with is harsh, but like I haven't seen a ton out of Oliveras, especially at the
Right.
MLS level, that would give
Mm-hmm.
me the same confidence that I do have now in Ben Lunt from these run of games that I would have in a year's time when it is Ben Lunt's turn.
Hmm.
Yeah, Jacob, I agree. I do think that if we don't end up with a contract extension for Roman, that I'm comfy with Ben.
Okay, cool. I've been wanting to pose that, so I'm glad we had that
That's a
conversation.
good
That's a
shot.
fantastic question.
Hey,
Yeah.
and I'm not biased, but Ben Lunt is the only player that I have signed merch from. So he's up there in my book. Where is it? Oh yeah, it's that hat right there.
That's interesting. I did not
I
know
think
that.
Ethan has a Berkey autograph.
I do have
Yeah.
a Berkey autograph. I do have RB1 on that
I got no
huge jersey.
autographs.
We'll take care of you, Jacob. We'll get you somewhere.
I
Hey,
cannot be bought with an autograph.
real quick, I do want to before we move on, I want to shout out one man, DeJuan Jones.
Facts.
Look at this
Yeah,
fucking
that was
sick
sick.
card. I did pretty embarrassingly tell him that I packed him. I was like, "Yo, man, I got your Panini card," and he was like,
God,
All
it's
right."
so funny because we will never be able to imagine the feeling of being a pro athlete standing on the field, having someone tell you that they ripped you out of a sport pack. You're like, yo, that's really cool, man.
Thanks.
That's me on the card. Hey.
Hey, special edition DeJuan Jones.
No, that was really cool. Really nice of him to just take a second and
Yeah,
answer a
but a
question about
stand-up guy,
For
about
absolute gentleman.
real.
the
For
other
real.
team's atmosphere, not even about the game at all, not about him, just taking time to answer three guys' question. Dewan, Dewan.
A word, a word. Hey, we need a right back. DeJuan, if you like St. Louis, come hang out. Let us know what you
I
think.
would I would not hate Dewan Jones at right back at St. Louis City.
But anyways, last notes on Columbus Crew. It's time for Kit Clash. Ding 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 ding. And this one, I can't lie, I really dig. At
It's
the
class.
Yeah, when I was filming the MLS commercial, they had the whole layout of all the jerseys, and that was the first one they showed me because it's really unique. And they told me it was a Goosebumps collab, and I said, "What?
Uh-huh.
Why?"
The only
Uh,
appropriate response to a Goosebumps collab and the MLS. When you
yeah.
told us that, I was also extremely confused. I had no
Wait a minute.
idea what you could have
What do you
even
mean?
meant.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was a new Apple TV series that was coming out, and also did not know that R.L. Stine, if you are not a fan of Goosebumps, get on it. Great books, spooky books for kids. But R.L. Stine, the author, is from Columbus, so there is a connection. I was like, what?
Apparently, I'm reading about it right now. Apparently, the supporters have actually used a few of his characters, like in the designs of their tifos. So
Oh,
it
cool.
kind of, I get the vibes that R.L. Stein is kind of like a Columbus legend.
I hope he is a football fan because if he's not, this is just kind of weird. But
It also
uh,
says that it features UV activated technology, which
yes,
sounds pretty cool.
it's glow in the dark is all that that means. But it's pretty sick. Yeah, very, very cool. It kind of looks like the kit is like oozing some spooky goo. I dig it. At first, I thought it was strange because it didn't exactly fit Columbus Crew's color scheme. Um, but I do love this kit. Big, big fan. No other kit like this in the league. It is not a template. There's no other kit like this in the world. So I'm pretty high up on this one. I'm gonna give this a 9.3.
I agree, Grayson. I think this kit is class. I am not going to go as high as a 9.3, but I'm not going to go lower than a 9 because my rating is exactly a 9.0. I would proudly don this kit around
Pretty
any
slick.
city in the world.
Pretty slick.
There you go. Okay, that's very high praise, especially for an opponent that just beat us as well. I also very much like this kit. Like you, Grayson, I was confused because this is definitely not a part of their color scheme, and their home kit, that Charlie Brown vibes jersey, is pretty underwhelming for me because the Crew have a long history of pretty good kits. Because in my opinion, yellow is not an easy kit color to work with, and they do a great job. A lot of the Crew fans at the tailgate before the game had on Crew jerseys of past, and the Barbasol sponsors on there are so cool. That was just so good. So for this to live up to that standard, be unique like that, it checks my boxes. I'm gonna go for a 9.3 on this kit, just like you, Grayson. Very, very cool. What it means to the city, how they've incorporated these designs in the past, and then it seems like the club listened and responded with like a prize almost. So really good stuff all around from the club there.
Very highly rated from the Crew. Pretty cool. Moving on. We have our match day 9 preview. And like we stated last episode, this is a pretty scary run of games for St. Louis to be facing. Ethan, who are we facing, buddy?
We are going to the very top of the West, metaphorically and literally the top of the table. Vancouver Whitecaps are coming to St. Louis, everyone. And I don't love that they are coming off the back of a 5-1 victory over Austin, where Brian White decided that 3 goals was not enough and grabbed four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention, that game could have been worse. It could have been much worse. Brad Stuver did a job for Austin as well. Not to mention he picked a mouse up off the field.
I did see that.
Just your average MLS moment. Anyways, we'll focus on the Vancouver Whitecaps because, in my opinion, and if you've seen us on TikTok recently, you'll know this. But I think that Brian White is probably the best American striker in the MLS. He's 29 years old these days, and honestly reminded me of a prime Clint Dempsey in the MLS. Of course, I would say that Clint Dempsey is a two prime player. He he started his career here in the States, went over to Fulham, boom, prime, came back to Seattle, boom, back in his prime. So maybe just never left. Vancouver Whitecaps, though, they also have a very good goalkeeper. I rate their goalkeeper.
Yeah, Vancouver's on a hell of a start to the season. Only dropping points to Chicago, and Chicago's kind of, hey, what's up to the league? Triple G is a good MLS coach game. A draw with Toronto, which when we covered it in our City Boys extra time, that was just a matter of KG rivalry type soccer, where even though Toronto respectfully is not a great team right now, they gave Vancouver a run for their money. Vancouver beating really good teams like Colorado 2-0. Austin is arguably a good team. They haven't won a game by more than one goal yet this year, so take that with what you will, but they did smack them 5-1. They've beaten Dallas and they're also into the semifinals of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So they've played about 5 to 6 more games than most other teams in the MLS to this point, and they are still on fire. Um, it is at home. So I'm going to start us off with the predictions, but I'm going to reserve the right to say my goal scorer after the two of you go. I think we lose this game 3-2.
Mm,
Okay. I don't
mm.
hate that because I do have a good feeling about St. Louis City's offense finally starting to come alive, and I also feel like we're going to concede because Vancouver has the best offense in the MLS at the moment, scoring 17 goals. They have a plus 11 goal difference, conceded the same amount of goals as St. Louis City has. So their defense is also something to talk about.
Damn.
Um, so yes, I am extremely worried about this game. But at the same time, I'm weirdly optimistic. I think that is because I St. Louis City has kind of been in a hole. Um, and that hole could get very deep. But at the same time, I think we're finding some positives that we weren't seeing past couple weeks. So I do think we're going to lose this game too. I'm going to predict a 2-1 loss. And I
You got
think
scoring, Grayson.
goal scoring. Who did you say, Jacob?
He's
I haven't said
reserved
anything.
the
Oh,
right to let us
well,
pick first.
oh, it's Joao Klauss. That's my point.
Okay. Okay. I really hope that does happen, by the way, Grayson. I hope he keeps it up. I was I was looking at their squad and I remembered that they're missing Ryan Gauld. I just don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. Brian White has got a Mamba mentality right now. 6 goals this year, 0 assists
He's
through
got 9
seven
in all
games.
comps too. Like, bro.
He
He's
can't
a
stop
man on
scoring.
fire.
He truly is.
And he
So
loves a game against St. Louis City too.
oh
Yes, he
God, yeah, he
does.
bagged a hat trick against
Bro,
us last year.
come on.
I'm pretty sure Ben Lunt was playing in that game as well.
He was.
So
Revenge game.
look, I saw also, I don't know where I saw this, but I saw that Miguel Perez scored against Vancouver Whitecaps for his first MLS goal. So who knows, Jacob?
Yeah.
Maybe the stars are really lining up for your anti-Alfredo movement.
I want to see Ostrich starting in that position. I think he's not a like for like Leuven replacement, but I think he's
Well,
good.
gentlemen, as far as my prediction goes, I'm also going to predict a loss. No, actually, I'm going to predict a 2-2 draw because I feel like we just about picked points off the top team in the East. And I like the idea of us being able to pick off points against the top team in our conference. So I'm going to say a 2-2 draw. And I'm going to pick Simon Betcher to score because if I know anything about Simon Betcher, it's that he loves to pick himself up after a tough game like that. And after missing in the box like that, he will have a chip on his shoulder. I know it. So
Yeah,
Also, it would be a goal against his former side.
ooh,
that's
which
facts.
he would love. I know. I remember from the City Voice episode that he did that. He and Brian White are actually pretty close. I think they like still at the time of that recording they still texted.
Damn
So
it.
Well,
He is, guys.
I am so glad I let you guys pick because none of you picked my predicted goal scorer. As we all know, last week in my predictions, I did not pick a goal scorer because we hadn't scored a goal, but now we have scored a goal. And I'm going to pick what I think to be the most dangerous looking man that we've got in attack in Celio Pompeu getting
Oh
a
yeah.
goal in this match.
Did he manage a shot last game?
Yo, I don't. I think he did, but I think they all got blocked.
I just know that he is a lethal shooter. Like he picks out the corners. So
Yeah.
I love that pick, Jacob.
I saw him looking like he was about to line up that famous curler he hit against Kansas City.
Yeah.
I saw him try to line that up a couple times, but I think he elected to chop it in again and go for a pass off. So, at
Well,
some points, I'd like him to be a little selfish and take the ball all the way.
I couldn't blame any defensive coach for putting that as the first line on their scouting report for Celio Pompeu.
Yeah.
Will cut in and score.
Yeah.
Don't let him. Well, any final notes on this match day 9?
Now
Good.
it is 1 o'clock Ethan's time. So.
My thoughts are let's go to bed, gents.
Yeah.
All right, with that being said, if you've watched up into this point, you're a real G. And if you've watched up to this point and you're not subscribed, why don't you go down there, hit that subscribe button, help us out. We are on the road to 200 subscribers, and just get us there. Honestly, just
Come
be a
on.
part of this train. We're gonna keep on rolling, we're gonna keep on chugging, so hop on. There's room for everybody. If you've been listening on Spotify up until this point and you are not following the podcast, what are you doing? Go hit that follow button, rate us 5 stars, help us with the algorithm. It's always a battle against the algorithm. Just give us some help. But most importantly, folks, if you don't follow us, you don't subscribe, whatever, make sure you go and tell your mother that you love her. Peace. STL, STL,
STO. STO.